Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Inshallah, today we will continue with our class. Okay. So sorry we started a bit late today because I got confused because yesterday I was on leave. I went to Melaka, and Melaka yesterday was on a public holiday. I went to drop off my daughter there, and so being a public holiday, I thought today was Monday or Tuesday. I got mixed up with the dates, and then when I looked at the class timetable, I thought, I saw operating systems, but I thought it was the diploma operating systems. So I got mixed up and I started the class with the diploma students, only to find out they were telling me, "Well, why do we have class today?" Okay. So there was a big mix up there. Anyway, so I'm here again. All right. So today, inshallah, we will try and see how much can we do on chapter 2. Okay. Most of For your information, the previous lectures are all loaded in my YouTube, and I put the link inside UFuture, so you can get the link from my UFuture account, from your UFuture account. But if you just Google in YouTube, you put in my full name, Muhammad Imran, Muhammad Arif, you can see my video channels. All of the notes are there. I put them according to subject, according to dates, so you can just choose when was your last class, or if you want to view the previous last 2 semesters class on the same chapter, go ahead. It's also there as well. Just to make me happy, please like my video. Not to say I'll gain anything, but just to make me happy only. If you put any comments, go ahead. You can put any comments. If you don't understand any issues or you need me to explain more, please also put down in the comment or let me know, and we will try to see what can be done to explain more on the chapter. One of your classmates has messaged me wanting my latest notes. Okay, so sorry I did not put this up on in UFuture. Not that I did not want to put this up. These are new notes. It's similar to the notes on UFuture, but these are a bit shortened. So why I did not put this up is simply because I wanted you to pay attention in class. You have the old notes, refer to that. It's the same content with the new one, only the look and feel of the new one is a bit more different. But you have the old notes, you have the new notes is same. But since you have requested for me to, you want to have the look at the new notes, okay, no problem. I will upload this new notes, chapter 1 to chapter till the end of the chapter in UFuture, and maybe by today, tomorrow, you can see the new ones. Okay, so we are going to start our class today. We are going to start on chapter 2. Okay, before that, make sure by the end of the class or anytime after class, make sure you sign your attendance. Okay, sign your attendance in class. Okay, so I see today most of you are in class. Yep, I see about. I see participants. I see 60. Yep, we are almost full in class. Alhamdulillah, very good. Today is the third day of fasting. So I hope you all have a good fasting this year. As we are entering the endemic phase, and hope inshallah this year fasting will be better than the year before and the year before that. Okay. So let's move on to chapter 2. Can you all see my notes? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Alia,
sir.
Adam, Nurul Azizah, Fazliana. Okay, all okay? Okay. So this is chapter 2. We are going to look at the principles of operating system. So what we are going to understand in chapter 2 is we are going to understand the services provided by the operating system, the user, and the operating system interface. We are also going to talk about system call and system services. We are also going to understand about the design and implementation and also the structure. So, by the end of this chapter, I hope that you are able to understand the services provided, and we hope that you understand what kind of interface does the operating system have, and the most importantly, you should be able to understand the overall structure of an operating system. Okay, a little bit of the previous chapter. The previous chapter we highlighted about what is an operating system, the types of operating system, what can the operating system do, okay, and most importantly, what is an application software. Okay, so you have to able in the first chapter, you have to be able to differentiate and explain what is an operating system, what can an operating system do, and what is the difference between an OS and an application software. That is the most important outcome of the first chapter. In the second chapter, we are going to do today, you are going to listen, you're going to understand about the services provided. What can the operating system do? Okay, so this is the objective. Okay, we are going to describe the services. We are going to look at system calls and structure. Okay, so operating system provides an environment for execution of program and services to the program and user. Okay, so there are a few terms here. There are programs, there are users. Okay, let's go to the simplest term. User is you and me. Okay, user is you and me. So we are the users. So when we talk about programs, on the other hand, meaning to say the operating system provides an interface for other programs. What do you mean by other programs? Other programs such as you install a new software. So operating system is the interface for you to use that new software. You install SPSS, you install Photoshop, you install any new program, so you need to have an interface for you to use that program. So operating system is an interface, is something in between for you to use that. Okay, let's go back to the example of the phone. You install a new mobile app, okay, but you need your Android application running for you to use your mobile app. So if you translate back to the operating system, so the operating system is an Android, so you need it to be running, only then you can use your application software. Okay, so the OS provides the environment, so they provides the environment. So if you look at the car, so you can consider the car, the dashboard is the environment, because from that dashboard, this is where you start driving your car, because you put your car to P to D, you start driving. You put your car to R, reverse. Okay, so you do not have to think about what actually happens when you push your car to D, what the car does, what is the function inside it. The engine moves from here to there. I'm not sure, but then that's what it happens. But so the dashboard is where you sit. You only worry about that. Okay, so the operating system provides an environment. Okay, one set of operating system services provide functions. So they provide functions. So they have two types of user interface. That means the user interface that you have now is called the graphical user interface. So if you want to open the Microsoft Office, you just double click. If you want to open Photoshop, just double click. So there's an interface for that. Okay, so this interface is inside the operating system, right? Or you can use command line interface. Command line interface is whereby you type a command and the operating system executes the command. Okay. Let's say you want to create a new folder. What do? Right click, new folder. Simple. Let's say you want to sort. You want to see, you want to find, you want to locate your file. And you want to see what was the latest file you accessed based on the date. So you right click, sort by so and so. Okay. But you don't have to write something. You don't have to type in any query. You just right click, you just do this, you just do that. Okay. Let's say you want to locate, let's say you open your Microsoft Word, you have typed 10 pages, but you want to locate a word and you want to replace that particular word. What do? Control F. Okay. So this kind of the user interface provides an easy environment for the user like you and me to conduct. However, the command line interface is different. The command line interface, you can type the instructions, only then things start to work. Let me show you an example of command line interface. Okay, let's sharing. Okay, let's go here. Okay, done. Okay, can you see my screen here? Okay. Okay. Let me know if you can't see. Can you see what I'm doing here?
Yes,
So you're
sir.
going to the start button.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you're going to the start button. You click on, you type in command prompt, and it opens. Okay, can you see this? So I can see it. Okay, right. So you go into command prompt here. Okay, and let's say, okay, so that you have to type in certain commands. Okay, you have to type in certain commands. Only then the the function works. Okay, so CD means change directory. So now the cursor is at directory C. Okay, so if you look at the graphical user interface, in directory C you have all these files. Nampak? You have all these files inside here. But in the command line interface, you have to type in a special function. dir, directory, enter. Can you see all this? Apa ni? App apps, Dell drivers, Intel, but in the graphical user interface, you have the same thing, tapi dalam bentuk ni. Okay, all of these are here. Can you see this? Dell.
No, sir.
Kami tak nampak sepenuhnya.
Awak nampak apa?
Google punya view.
Oh, dia tak gerak lagi ya? Okay. Okay. Alright, sekejap no. Okay, now can you see
Yes, sir.
the black screen?
sir.
Boleh, okay. Boleh dah.
I cannot see myself. Alright, here we are. Okay. Okay. So, okay, can you see this screen and can you see this screen? Nampak tak screen ni? Yang putih ni?
Nampak, sir.
Okay, good. Alright. So this black screen ni, I go into the start button, saya type command called command prompt and I'm here lah. Okay. So bila saya type dir, so this is a command inside what we say is command line. Okay, command line. And Yang dir is all the folders, and this is when it was created. Okay, so if you look at the graphical user interface, you akan nampak benda ni. The same thing. APPS, Dell, drivers, Intel. Okay, so this is how it is here. So let's say I want to create a new folder. Okay, Adam, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, I want to ask you a question, Adam. All right, how do I create a new folder inside here, inside the white screen here?
Sir, kami nampak Sir punya command prompt je. Yang Sir punya folder tu kami tak nampak.
Okay, tak nampak Okay, never mind. Okay, let's go back to command prompt lah. Okay, so kalau if I want to create a folder, alright, kalau saya nak create a folder, the command is I will type in
mkdir.
apa yang saya nak ingat. Saya pun dah tak ingat. Macam mana saya nak buat folder?
mkdir.
mkdir Okay. Okay, mkdir. Siapa bercakap tu?
Saya.
What's your name?
Fadil Alif.
Apa dia?
Fadil Alif.
Your nickname?
Fadil.
Fadil. Okay, F-I-R-D-I-L. Okay, since you jawab, inilah dia, Fadil. So enter. Okay. So now the folder is created. Mari kita tengok ada tak? Ada. Fadil kat sini. Fadil is here. Okay, Fadil is here. So if you want to see in the graphical user interface, then mana nama Fadil tadi? Ni Fadil. Here. Fadil is here. Okay. So kalau dalam graphical user interface, how do we create a file for a folder? Right click, new folder. So kita create lah satu folder. Kita namakan folder ni sebagai Emilia. Kita namakan folder ni sebagai ayam percik roti John. Sekejap somebody is calling. Orang penting kot. Hello? Oh, Maxis kata saya tak bayar bil. Saya tak bayar. Okay. So, enter. So, nampak ni. Folder ayam percik roti John is already created. Okay. So, senang je. Dalam graphical user interface, we right click je. But if, let's say you want to see in the command prompt. Okay, let's see. Nampak tak command prompt? Ada tak? Belum ada lagi. So, we type in the command called dir. Ni dia. Can you see? Ayam percik roti John is here already. Okay. Let's say we want to delete the folder. Macam mana? Who knows how to delete? Delete is
rmdir.
RM IMDIR. Oh, RM nama ni nama folder
Ya, saya pun sure. Ingat sangat.
Ya ke? Oh, bukan. Silap. RD kot. RD Fardil. Remove directory. RD ayam percik roti John. Silap. Okay, not fine. Salah eja kot. Yes. Oh, yes. In command prompt, you have to type in the word exactly. Kalau huruf besar, maka huruf besar. Kalau huruf kecil, huruf kecil. Alright? So kita start here. Tak ada pun. Don't know where. Adalah tu.
Cuba letak quote. Sir.
Quote Tak apalah Fadil. Thank you. Adalah tu silap di mana-mana. Tapi tak apa. So kalau nak exit, kita exit. And then Kalau kita nak delete, kita pergilah balik dekat sini, share, right click je lah. Right click, delete, settle. Dia punya code tu, I think something wrong lah, tapi tak apa. Alright, okay, so that basically what I'm trying to show you is how command prompt works. So you have to remember, you have to know the commands. Okay, you have to know the commands, only then it works. So why is this important? During my time, bila saya buat operating system dulu, bila saya belajar dulu, I needed to know the commands. Okay, I needed to know the commands, only then I can use the computer system. But now you don't need to know the commands. Okay, it's all basically on user interface. Kita type, kita look at it. Right? Okay, so what actually happens? Okay, so the most important thing here. Oh, okay, there's a question here. There is a question here. Okay. Is there any difference between Windows PowerShell and command prompt? No, there's no difference. It's the same. Okay, it's the same command saja, sama je. No, there's no difference. Both are using the same commands. Okay, both are using the same. But PowerShell ni is more to programming. Both uses the same code. Tapi kalau PowerShell, you can do programming with it. Example of type of programming macam you can do virus, you can do simple programming yang let's say for example I have a small code yang akan run bila your PC is on, contohnya macam tu. Okay, bila PC is on dia akan run sahaja. Okay, so PowerShell ni is for more of it's called a low level programming. Okay, low level programming is normally used for the simplest example is when you do viruses, they use low-level programming lah. Okay, so you can directly interact with the operating system. Okay, so what you need to understand in command line or graphical user interface or even batch. Batch meaning you process the instructions at a certain given point of time. Okay, so what is the main idea about batch processing? Sorry, about command line interface or GUI is the program execution and the input-output operation. Okay, so in this slide, what we're trying to explain is the types of services provided by the operating systems are the dua. There are two types of system OS services. One is program execution and input-output operation. What does that mean? Meaning to say the operating system allows any program to be executed. Okay, any programs to be executed. How it allows programs to be executed is by loading that program inside the memory, and then from the memory load it inside the CPU, only then it runs the program. Okay, it loads the program. Loading means bringing the files that is needed to run the program, put it inside the memory, and then put it inside the CPU. Question, kenapa nak letak dekat dua tempat? Letak je lah dekat hard disk. Why you need it to put it in a different location, only then you run it? Well, the answer is because this program runs at a very, very fast speed, that is why it is put inside the RAM for it to run, because the files keep changing all the time. Okay, once the program is being closed, only then the files are transferred inside back to the hard disk or the different location, not inside the memory. Okay, so that is program execution. Services number 2 is input-output operation, meaning the operating system allows any program to use any input and output provided. Okay, any input output product provided. What kinds of input and output were provided by the OS? Input by the keyboard, input input, output to the monitor, input from the internet cable, okay, input from your scanner, anything. Okay, so basically you can imagine lah, operating system, you need to have the operating system for a computer system to work. Okay, it's the main program for a computer system to work. What is a computer system? What you see, you have your keyboard, you have your mouse, you have your monitor. This is a computer system. But inside the computer system, you need the OS to run, and the OS will be connected to all of the application software. So basically, what we're trying to say is, if you compare a computer system to a car, so the car is the whole structure of the car. The empty car is the computer system. Okay, whole car is the computer system. Empty structure, tire, engine. Sorry, not the engine. The tire, the brakes. This is the car system. But all of this cannot work without the engine. So the engine is the operating system. Okay, but the engine needs to be connected to the brake, to the fuel system, to the airbag system, to everything else. Because all of this will not work if it is not connected to the operating system, which is the car engine. From the car engine, you can connect everything. But how do you do that? There's an interface for you. There's a dashboard for you. If you want to on the signal, tekan je dekat situ, and the operation happens. The execution happens. Okay? If you want to move forward, just change your gear, you move forward. So it's the execution. What happens behind it, we are not worried about that. Okay? Because if you don't have the car engine, how are you going to move? So you need to have that interface. Any questions? Please ask. Okay, so what kind of functions does the operating system provide? So as we know, it provides two services, execution and input output. But what kind of functions would it provide? Okay, and itu services. Okay, so it also provides extra functions. Okay, if you read this chapter, you will see that the word services and functions are the same actually. But in this slide, I have differentiated both because services are more general. That means it provides program execution and input-output operation, or input-output operations. But here is additional functions. It also provides file system manipulation. What is this? That means you can look at other files, you can do a search, you can do a delete, okay? And it allows you to communicate between networks. Operating system allows you to communicate. It also provides error detection. If there's any error, the operating system will detect for you, not the application software. Okay? If there's any error. Samalah bila kita naik kereta, when you're looking at the car dashboard, let's say something is wrong with the airbag. The airbag sends a signal to the engine, which there is a computerized there, and the engine will signal you back at the dashboard. If the car is in balance, send the signal back. If there is no petrol in the fuel system, send a signal back, and the signal will be displayed on your dashboard. Sama juga dekat operating system. If there's anything wrong inside the file, so you send it back to you, and you can see. Okay, so these are the three additional functions: file system manipulation, communication, and error detection. All right. Additional services or functions which is provided is resource allocation, accounting, protection and security. What is resource allocation? Meaning each application software that needs to operate inside the operating system, the operating system gives you a resource. Okay, this is your resource. This is an empty file. This is the location for you. This is your input and output. Okay, this is your input and output. Right? Resource allocation provides you the resource. All right. It's a resource allocation ni macam the operating system provides you a space, provides the application a space. Okay, this is a space. Now you can use this space, and we provide you everything. Next, we also look at the operating system keeps track of how much or what kind of resources are you using. What kind of resources is the is the application software is using, and it also provides protection and security. That means the operating system provides a security process or protection process whereby there can never be an overlap of files inside the storage. One storage hard disk is inside this, there can never be another file inside this as well. Example, let's say you have a folder called ABC inside your hard disk, and you have a document called document number 1. Okay, if there's another document with the same file name inside it, automatically the operating system will create bracket 1, or maybe they'll tell you there is a conflicting file name, the same name. Okay, so this kind of protection and security is provided. Okay, so this is how the overview of the system OS services looks like, right? So you have the user interface, and each time, this is system call. Each time the user wants to use any of these functions, the operating system provides a system call. What is a system call? System call is how the operating system calls one of these functions. There is a special code here that calls all of this. So in command line interface yang kita belajar tadi, or kita tengok tadi, command yang I typed in, mkdir lah, rd lah, those are system calls. That means it's a special name, okay, that when you type in that name, you can access file system, you can access input-output, you can access accounting, okay. But inside GUI, you don't need to know that command, it automatically calls a system call, okay. A system call is how the operating system access that particular function. Okay? So each function has a specific system call. Example, let's say you want to make a phone call to a friend. So what do? You look for his name and you press call and it calls. Okay. So what actually happens behind it, you don't know. What actually happens is the operating system, Android, will look for a system call or will look for his number and initiate that call. Okay, will initiate that call. So system call is how the operating system initiates that particular function. Are you with me? Emilia, okay? Fadil, okay?
Yes, sir.
Tak makan ke?
Yes,
So hari ni, Emilia, are you here?
yeah, I'm here.
What are you having for buka puasa?
I'm not sure yet.
Did you have sahur tadi?
Yeah, I do.
What time is your sahur? 5 o'clock, 5:30?
5.
What do you have for sahur tadi?
Putu mayo.
Sedap oh.
Malam beli kat bazar.
Sedap. Dengan kelapa ya?
Dengan gula melaka sekali. Gula merah.
Have you, okay, I nak tanya you, Emilia. Ini nothing to do with operating system. Have you tried putu mayam dengan kari ayam atau kari daging?
Yeah, I did. Sebab my mom suka juga makan macam tu.
Yes. You know what? That is my ketupat and lemang in my house during Raya tau. We will cook gallons lah, periuk besar of apa namanya, kurma ayam dalam pot yang sangat-sangat besar, and that is my ketupat and lemang. So when if you come Raya first day in my house, you will have that. We will have that only. only, that means there's nothing else on the table. Okay, all right, enough talking about food. Thank you, Emilia.
Alright, sir.
Okay, so you have at the top user, interface, system call, function, OS, and hardware. Why is OS at the bottom? Well, as you can see, this is a blue color screen here. So OS is actually controlling the whole thing here. So all of these are sitting inside the operating system. And last but not least, everyone is connected to the hardware here. All right. So command line interpreter allows direct command entry. Direct, that means you can type the message and you go in direct. Sometimes multiple flavors implemented shells. Okay, shell macam tadi siapa yang tanya tadi. Microsoft Shell, yes, shell scripting. Ada lagi. So you type in a few commands together inside one shell lah. Okay. What does it actually mean? Contohnya, for example, you type in make directory, remove directory, a few commands together. You save it together and you run sekali lah. Okay, that's a Microsoft Shell command. Okay, it's some sort of like a programming language as well. Okay, all right. Next, obviously, when we talk about graphical user interface, it's much more friendlier lah. Okay, and I think you can agree with me, because it's graphical user interface, you would know what to click on. Okay, you tahu lah apa nak click. If you're looking for your files, you click on File Explorer. If you want to open this, you click on this. If you want to delete a file, you right click on this. Okay, same concept goes to your phone. You know what to do next. Okay, because you are all experts in your iOS or Android, you know. And if you change your phone to a different operating system, a different phone, it's almost the same as well. You know where to change the settings. You know how to connect to the internet. You know how to change you know how to on your Bluetooth. Everything is almost all the same. Okay, maybe additional functions, but basically you're running on the same thing. So graphical user interface, as compared to command line interface, obviously graphical user interface is much more better. Okay. Some operating system also has two types of interface. They have it on a command line interface and also graphical user interface. So these are touchscreen interfaces. Okay, these days we have touchscreen. Okay, I'm sure all of you have seen this. Okay, well, mouse is not possible or desirable. Okay, you have this as well. So touchscreen means basically you touch the screen or touch the monitor and the command happens. Okay. This is an example of another operating system, Linux, KDE. This is their graphical user interface. It's not similar to Windows, but by looking at the command and the graphics, you know what will happen. Okay, you know what will happen. Okay, let's say if you want to change, you want to do some settings, you just click on the settings icon over there. Okay, you know what is happening, or you know what happens if you click on that user interface. Okay, so now let's go to system calls yang tadi explained a bit. A system call is a programming interface that provides programming interface to the services provided by the OS, typically written in high-level language in C or C++, mostly accessed by programs high-level API. Most APIs are for portable operating system interface. Okay, now, basically, what is a system call? Okay, first, point number one, please write it down. System call equals an API. Okay, so when I call, okay, when I say API or system call, is both basically is the same thing. What is an API? Okay, an API in long is called application programming interface. So basically what an API does is an API provides you with the commands or with the commands, with the commands to do a specific thing. Example, Let's say you are writing a programming code in C or C++ or Java, okay? And you need to access or you need data from a scanner, okay? You need data from a scanner, okay? So you are writing a code and this code requires you to get data from your scanner. So you need to have an API from the OS to access the scanner. So the API is some sort like a function that allows you, once you get hold of these API functions, you are able to use any functions provided by the operating system for that particular scanner. Okay, an API is basically functions that allow user or any program allow users to use any function provided. Okay, another example of an API is, you always hear Google API or so on and so forth. Okay, so what does that mean? Okay, what does that mean? Okay, let me show you. Let me give you an example. I'm sure all of you have used Grab, have used Panda, have used all kinds of services, all kind of food delivery service. Okay, if you notice, the map inside Panda, the map inside GrabFood are all similar. Similar to what? Similar to Google. Okay, if there's an update in that particular jalan or so on and so forth, Google will update it and automatically it appears updated in your Grab or in your Food Panda apps. Okay, how is that possible? So basically how this works is, when Food Panda and Grab application was developed, they used a Google API to access Google Maps. So API of Google is functions, okay, that allows Food Panda or Grab to access the Google Map. So when you have an API, so you can access whatever functions provided by that particular API. So that's why anytime there is an update in Google Maps, suddenly you will see there's an update in your Food Panda or something like that. So you have to re-update, and automatically when you re-update, you can use the new API. Additional functions will happen. That means you can see a new map. Let's say a new taman. Okay, when I moved into this my taman, it was not out in Google Maps. Okay, so I couldn't do any food delivery. I couldn't order Grab. I couldn't do Grab food and so on and so forth. But one day there was an update in my Grab apps. So when my Grab's apps were updated, automatically my house appeared on Grab food. Okay, because when Google Map updates its map, it automatically the API and automatically update your Food Panda or Grab food. So an API allows you to use the functions provided by the particular API. So let's say now you are in chapter 3, but now you are in semester 3. So when you reach semester 5 or 6, okay, or 6, when you do your final year project, let's say you're doing a mobile application to keep track of the bus system. Okay, so you want to know your item in bus system ni kat mana. So you want to use a map, you want to produce a map. So you just install or you just get the Google Maps punya API and connect it to your mobile apps, and automatically you can see the map running. Okay, and these APIs, some are free, some you have to pay, but very minimal. Okay, so by having these APIs, you can actually get whatever Google or whatever the operating system provides, whatever function it provides. Okay, so inside the API is the system call. Okay, so always remember, API is called Application Programming Interface. So what does an API allow a user to do? An API allows a user to use whatever functions provided by the particular API. Okay, so this is how an API looks like. You have the source code, you have the destination file, and so on and so forth. Okay, so the source file is where the API is, the file is, and this is where the destination is. This is how you want to use it, but you don't have to know all this because the operating system does it for you. Okay, so this is how in this slide we are looking at the system called API. So system called API, okay, interface is the operating system. Okay, so the operating system allows you to use any API, any system call provided by the operating system. So the interface that we are talking in this slide is the interface that you see now in your screen. You want to create a new folder, just right click. So that is the interface of the system call. Kalau macam yang dalam command prompt tadi tu, the interface is hitam lah. So whatever you nak pakai system call ke, you have to know the system call. You gonna type in the command and that only then it occurs. But now it's much more easier. You right click here, you don't have to know the command. You don't have to know how to access or how to access the system call. Okay? So dalam system call, like say for example, dalam situ ada function new folder. Okay, in command line interface, you need to know the command. Okay, you kena type, only then you can access. Tapi dalam user interface ni, you tak payah. You just know, you just right click and anything happen because it's user interface. Okay, so basically this is how the overall picture of an API looks like. So you have the application, user application, you have the system call in between, and what happens is it goes inside a kernel mode. So what is a kernel? Kalau you remember in chapter 1, the kernel is the brain or the files or the file system or the interface that connects or that initiates the operating system. Okay, so inside the operating system there is a brain which is called the kernel, right? So when you access an API, you are actually also going into kernel mode. Okay, so these are some these are all hold on. Why is my hold on, PowerPoint tu the problem sikit. Okay. So now let's look at types of system call. What are the types of system call? Okay. So inside system call, if you're talking about the process, so what is a process? Allah, what is a process? Pula. Okay, a process is whereby, for example, you type in, you double click on your, let's say, Photoshop, Adobe Photoshop. Okay. Masa dia nak keluar tu, things start moving. Okay. That is until you see the Photoshop screen on your monitor, the process from the time you double click until it appears, that is the process. So what actually happens behind it is the system calls. So they create a process and then load the process inside RAM. So these are the things that you don't see, but it's actually happening behind the screen, behind the scene. Sama juga when you start your car, what happens? You don't know. Yang you tahu, press, okay, something initiates, car starts. But what actually happens behind is the system calls. So sama juga dalam another example, file management. What are the examples of system call? you can create a file, you can delete a file. These are system calls. Okay, but what is actually happening behind, you're not worried. G, you are able to create a file, you are able to open a file, you are able to read the file, write the file. Okay, sama juga device management. What, let's say you want to connect to a special device. Okay, you buy or you maybe you bought you want to connect to the Bluetooth connection, or you want to connect to the Wi-Fi. What happens behind it, you're not worried. Jadi you see the Wi-Fi signal, you double click on it, you put in the username and password, but the connection, okay, the request, the connection behind it, okay, the process of connection behind it is what we say as a system call. Are you with me, class? Sorry, I lupa nak tanya.
Yes, sir.
Aiman, are you okay? Aiman Safwan, Aina Khadijah, Alia, are you there? Alia Nazira,
Yes, sir.
Ashman, are you there? Ashraf, Anis, Arif,
Yes, sir.
Daniel, are you there? Dina,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fatin, are you there? Fatin, are you there? Tell me, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Tell me, can you hear me? Lokman, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Shafiq, Muhammad Shafiq, are you there? I can see your mic, but okay, yes, okay, good. Muklis, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Muklis, tengah makan ke?
No, sir.
Did you sahur today morning?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Okay, so what kind of information can you get from system calls? Example, you can get the time, you can get the system data, you can get the files, you can get the attributes and things like that. Okay, so example tadi saya bagi on Google, what can you get from a Google API or system call? You can get the Google map, you can get the location, you can get everything, anything, all the functions provided by the Google API, Google Map API. Okay, that is how it works like. Okay, so these are very important. This API is very important once you start doing your final year project. If you want to request any APIs, okay, so some APIs are free, some APIs you have to pay for it. Okay. Communication as well. Okay, this is another example of a system call. Okay, let's talk about protection. So each system call is protected by the operating system, meaning to say not all system calls are allowed to be given out to the users. Okay, why? This is very important because if there is no protection on the system calls, that then files can get corrupted, files can get interchanged, okay, or maybe files can be in the wrong place. For example, let's say the user, you are allowed to examples. Let's say you want to run a particular software, and that particular software is inside your RAM. Okay, so the operating system must allow protection for each of its file, each of its program. That means tak boleh lah macam program lain masuk and then program lain also masuk, and these programs are conflicting among each other. So in any application that you want to run, the files need to be inside your RAM. Okay, and these files cannot be accessed once it's inside the RAM. So these are examples of protection. Okay, so system program. Okay, so a system call ialah function tadi. So a system program ialah a program that allows users to manipulate. Program lah. Okay, program. Example, contohnya macam yang tadilah kita buat file management. We want to create a file. Okay, so system call macam ni. System program is example. The example of system program is example. create a new folder. So that's a program. System call is what actually happens behind it, we don't know. Tapi the operating system is doing it. Kalau dalam kereta, a system call is you want to start the car. Okay, you want to start the car. But what actually happens is the call. Masuk sini ke keluar sana ke, that is what we say is a system call. Alright, the rest of it you can read is very simple only. It's talking about system call and protection. Okay, nothing much. Okay, system call, system program is all the same. Okay, but what I want to look at is the most important thing for today before we end the class is this. Okay, so what is this? This is a microkernel system structure. So now, what is microkernel? What is a kernel lah? Okay, as I explained to you in the previous class in chapter 1, a kernel is the brain of the operating system. Okay, brain of the operating system. So in order for you to run the operating system, the kernel is installed. In any operating system, there is a kernel there. Okay, so each application software, file system, device driver tu macam driver biasa lah. Okay, you install any hardware, you need a driver for it. Automatically, the OS provides you for it. Okay, so application software, file system, and device driver are examples. And if they want to connect with the memory, then there is a system call and there's a message here which goes inside the microkernel. So actually goes inside the microkernel. Why is this only in microkernel? Dalam microkernel ni, there are only 3 processes: inter-process communication, memory management, and CPU scheduling. So these 3 ni is processes that is not allowed by the user to be directly connected. What does that mean? Meaning, user cannot directly call this process. It has to be inside the microkernel. Alamak, tak faham lagi. Never mind. If you look in the car, when you start the car, what actually happens, you are not worried because the process that happens behind it, like I explained to you, is called the system call. Okay, the system call. Betul. But you cannot change the process. Minyak masuk sini and then this one, dia ada beberapa sub process lah. Okay, that sub process nobody can change. Okay, no one can change. But you can change any other things. For example, sound system you can change. You nak keluar bunyi kat sebelah kiri ke kanan ke, you can do that. But in terms of starting the car, brake system, fuel system, airbag system, you cannot change because that is advanced level. So sama juga macam dekat operating system. In terms of communication between process, example, you want to cut from this process, cut from Microsoft Word, paste it inside Microsoft PowerPoint. So this is inter-process communication. These things you cannot, it's inside the microkernel. You cannot, kita tak boleh tukar code dia, it goes inside the microkernel of the operating system. Memory management, you want to access a file inside the RAM memory ni, okay, you cannot do that. Because these are high level, these are inside the microkernel. CPU scheduling, okay, how the CPU runs each process, we cannot do that. The CPU, the operating system, will automatically schedule which process to run first. Okay, you cannot have like you nak dengar proses ni dulu, you want to run the Microsoft Word and then you stop, or you want to run a different program, that is not possible. Okay, the operating system will schedule each process to run at a certain given point of time. Okay, so these 3 things. So if the question comes up, what are examples of program, or what are examples of system calls that run at the kernel mode? So there are 3 examples. One is the inter-process communication, memory management, and CPU scheduling. These are all called system calls in the kernel mode. Okay, in the kernel mode. Right? Okay, that's all for today. Do you have any questions for me today? Riana ada soalan? Arif, Lukman, Ikmal, Hidayah,
No, sir.
all good? Anis, do you have any questions? Anis, bukan Anis. Anis Khairina.
No, sir.
All right, thank you so much. Please sign my attendance for today in the future, and inshallah, I will see Group A tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow morning I'll see Group A at 9 o'clock, and I'll see Group B tomorrow morning afternoon at 2 o'clock. Okay, all right. Thank you so much, and inshallah, I will see you guys tomorrow as well. Okay,
Thank you, sir.
Assalamualaikum
Okay,
warahmatullahi
sir. Thank you.
wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum.